put this on so that I'm looking at it to find what I want to see. And oftentimes it takes turning it several times. Again, these papers were just randomly laid on there, but this was the direction orientation I thought would work. And I take my very favorite tool, and this is a Stabilo pencil. And it is a black paper, glass, plastic, and metal. It's a water soluble. It's much better than a watercolor pencil because it's a really soft pencil. This one's very pointy, but I'm gonna use it anyway. I also like that it's a fine line. So I just kind of go on. This is gonna be my vase. Here's my tabletop, here's my vase. I've got this flower. This is obviously gonna be flowers. But at this point, I also go and I draw my dividing lines, and I'm not really neat and tidy about it. I kind of find like there's a natural line, and I twist and turn my pencil as I go because it gives me more of an irregular line. And I'm not sure how I'm gonna make this work. I think I'm gonna make this be a stem and maybe this be a stem. And the only reason that I'm marking these is I want to create my stems by painting the negative space around them. So, questions?
Well, as you're using that Stabilo pencil, I remember once, do you ever wet it and let it bleed a little or anything?
I totally do. I haven't done it yet.
That's the last sort of thing you do? Or
that's one of the last things I do, but this is the beautiful thing about a Stabilo pencil is I can go back in now and I can get a really nice watercolory line happening. Depending on how much paint. I could put a lot of paint on it. I can even get them to drip.
Now you can still blot this off if you don't like it, right?
Yes, I can totally do that if I don't
but
like
once you
this.
put your poly...
once I put the polyacrylic on it, it's permanent.
Yeah.
So here's my... And I don't want them to be straight, perfect little lines. I want there to be breaks in them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on the vase. Because this kind of gives me a roadmap of where I'm going.
Yeah. And
with the style of painting that I do love negative painting. So I will go in.
Oh, that's fun. Look at that paint you're using.
Oh, and yes. Aside from using polyacrylic from Home Depot, whenever I go to the hardware store, I look for their oops paint, their mistake paint. And I always buy the light shades, the whites, the creams, because I love how creamy it is and the way it goes on. I don't necessarily buy colors because I don't trust the color fastness of them, but I'm not too worried about the light colors, and chances are I'm probably gonna go over this anyway with another color. So this is the hardest part of a painting, is figuring out what you're going to get rid of. Matters your focal point. That is your loud conversation. That is the thing that is going to draw people in. That you spend time on and you get it right. Once you've got that right, all this little stuff that you do over here, this little background stuff that is not, not contrasting, not hitting you in the face, this becomes your quiet conversation. And you can play here. This is a really good place to play because it's not the focal. It's not the important thing. It's just a place where you can play.
But it contributes.
It definitely
Definitely
contributes. It's the support.
Yeah. Not everybody can be the star. You still need some of the
Yes.
co-stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bit players.
So I don't want to lose all of this.
Well, that must be the hardest thing. If you see something that you really kind of love, I know it is for me. You find something that you thought you did well, or you really like the serendipitously the way it showed up, but darn it, it's just not working with the main scheme, and you hate to
give it up.
You know?
Yes. You do hate to give it up, but you have to remember, it's for a better painting.
Right.
It makes for a better painting.
Right.
If you try to have too many things in, and like I said, this is my first go around. I might go and get rid of these little garden tools. It might not work when I'm done. Right now, I like it, so it gets to stay. So that's how I get started. So there are a couple little things I want to tape off on this one because I have a color palette on this one that's kind of the same as the last one, only I'm adding yellow into this, and I have chunks of yellow here I don't want to go away because this one, I already know that I'm gonna do flowers and I'm gonna have some lemons in here. So I'm just taping off these guys. So whatever I do next, I don't lose that yellow. Is there anything else? Maybe I want to save.
Are you gonna put the gel medium next to the?
I'm gonna put the gel medium over these. I'll have this one come down here. And for those of you who use painter's tape, there are different grades of painter's tape. Some are less tacky. Some are for more delicate projects. This one with the orange label on the inside, they all tell you what they're good for. This is good for delicate projects. Some of the blue painter's tape is a little stronger than this and will rip things up. So here you go. I got my gel medium, and I'm going to just take the gel medium and just paint over the edge of this. So the thought behind this, if I do it right, is that any paint that bleeds in here is going to be this clear medium. So paint colors can't get under here because the gel medium has taken up that space already. So but I know I can always bring them back to something, so I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to do that same process I did a few minutes ago. Only I'm going to use a darker color. I kind of like this because it's picking up some of the letters on it. Oh, I should have taped over that. This up here, anybody who's ever had a Free People shopping bag, they have the best shopping bags. So all this up here and here, this fabric is from a Free People shopping bag, and I kind of want to keep that in there. But I really like that I'm going to have a dark background to work on. Because then I can, when I go over it with light, you'll really see a difference.
I would get nervous if my picture looked like that right now.
And there you go.
Well, Denise, it's Casey. I struggled with picking colors to do that with on my painting. I was trying to pick colors that were in the painting or related, but you just picked a gray.
Well, I'm doing a neutral color over it. And when I do neutrals, I usually use the parchment and a light gray. Those are like my go-to neutrals. And I especially love after the paint has started to dry, and you can only get this when that happens. I love getting these, I don't know if you can see it, the paint starts to look really craggly. And it doesn't look quite so smooth. You get to create some texture in there.
Craggly, define craggly.
It looks like an old paint finish.
Ah, I get it.
Like, I'm really gonna get it up here.
Like old wooden, like a piece of wood.
Yes, like I really got it happening right up here.
I got it.
And you kind of have to let the paint just set up a little bit and then come back over with something wet. Now let's see if that worked. Yeah, that works really well. Come on. So I love those little chunks of color coming back through. So this is a point where most of us go, this is really ugly. What am I going to do with this? I am pretty excited about this because I know that now that I've dulled everything up and I can see how these bright colors pop forward, going forward, I'm going to add light colors and this dark color will show up. But first I want to do my nickel azo, so it's nickel azo gold.
You got it. And that's a golden?
That's a golden color.
Okay.
So I'm going to go over this with that. But even if it wasn't, I would probably still be using this because when it was gray, it was very cold. So if it's cold, I want to put something warm over. If it's warm, I want to put something cold over. I just like to go back and forth that way. I kind of like that. That just warmed the whole thing up. And now when I come back and put my lighter colors over this, it's really going to pop it out. So I'm really dulling everything down to create a space for when I do bring my colors that I want forward, they're really going to pop off the canvas. Let me see. On this one, I think I am going to go my transparent color, my heavier color that I'm going to mark into. I'm going to use, once again, the parchment color. Where do I want to do this? And I'm putting it on heavier. Now, this painting, I kind of do have it figured out where I'm going. Obviously with the flowers that I had already on here. To imagine that is going to be a pretty floral, huh? Okay. And you don't have to go over the whole thing if there's parts of it. Like I kind of like this right there. As you're going, pick and choose where you want that glaze to go. And this is drying really fast because I had it on the heater. Whoops. That's a piece of fabric up there. Oh my gosh, but that looks so cool. I mean, those are the marks that I made into the last one that has green under there, and now it has a little bit of the blue showing, catching into it. So it's just made it richer. And that is what we're looking for. That dried so fast, but I'm really liking where it is. And it's actually, I'm using the same color palette. And with the green, gold, and the alizarin. And then I'm going to be adding yellow in. I'm going to be adding yellow into this one. So that's going to work really well with that Payne's Gray that I just put down. And I still am going to be adding more papers to this. I'm just setting this up for myself to add papers to. So let's just go, since I have it mixed up here on the palette. I really loved that color, so I'm going to stick with that. I don't want to go over that, but maybe I'll just add a couple chunks of it here and there. And another reason it's nice to pick out a color palette before you start, because then you have all your paints right in front of you. And when you're ready to, add some colors in, they're just all right there. You don't have to stop what you're doing and go find them. And you definitely don't have to put these on nice and neat. You can scrub them in. Maybe I will. Oh, I don't want to scrub that one, but I can scrub it up this way. Okay, that's. And maybe I want to add that with an oil pastel. And this I'm just adding in this color to bring some vibrancy back that I've just covered up with all of my transparent glazes. I want to pop some color out again. To this one, and add some papers onto this one. I had two really nice, neat stacks of papers to add onto these. And now they're kind of all over. Okay, I wanted to add this coffee cup. I love this coffee cup. It could be floating. I don't want to move that. I think I'm going to put that coffee cup right there. I think I got this, I tore it out of a magazine, and it's kind of hard, so I must have used it for something. But I like that. This is made out of fabric underneath there, so it's going to take a little bit more to get this to lay down over top of that texture.
Where did you find the coffee cup?
I found it in a magazine somewhere. These I'm going to save because this is going to be my accent color, and I think I might either use it in my flowers or I might put a couple lemons there. So that's what I pulled this paper out for. Or I could even use that. And I also have this cool metallic checkered copper paper. Where can I use that? Maybe where I'll use that. I'm going to turn this sideways. I'm going to grab my handy dandy ruler and just rip some stripes. Okay, again, oh, there's 4. I want one more. Again, this is hard paper. This is scrapbooking paper, so it's pretty heavy. It's like cardstock. So I'm going to just dip it in water. Do you guys all end up as messy as this? At the end? I think I might, oh, I really like the way this is looking. But I think I'm gonna just add some little stripes down here. So this would be like a little striped tablecloth. Texture. I think what I want to do is, I love this color. I think what I want to do is add some yellow up here, so I might be able to have a yellow flower if I want. So I've still got these flowers in here that I could paint to still be part of this composition. And keep going back to the papers you just laid down so you can make sure they're not starting to ripple. Sometimes you can pull it up. And sometimes you want them to ripple up. Because if it starts to get bubbles in it and you really squish it down so that you have creases, that's kind of cool. The main thing is you want to make sure that your papers are connected, that they actually hit the surface. You don't want bubbles that are not connected because that's just an accident waiting to happen down the line. So I'm liking that. I love that coffee cup. That's my favorite thing. I don't think I need any more right yet. Although here's something I'm noticing. What's wrong with these guys? Anybody know?
Too much the same size, right?
There you go. Yep. Too much the same size. So I got to do something to switch them up a little bit because we're always looking for things to be a little different. The eye likes things that are different. The eye doesn't really like it when everything's just the same. I think that's all I'm going to do for right now on the paper on that. I also, for this one, had other papers pulled, but I want to get some of the, of my background painted in before I start adding some more papers. It's supposed to be paintable.
Okay.
Mine's paintable. So if I want to make something like, let's just say, this is going to be my vase. And I know this is going to be my vase already. And usually it comes out a lot better than this. This is like a brand new tube. I've opened it once and what I just want to do is create kind of a cool outline. That's taking all my strength to get that out there.
Would it warm up under warm water or soften?
Well, it might. It's really very infuriating that you spend money for a product.
I think it dries when even a little bit of air gets in there because, you know, that's what it's supposed to do when you apply it to your bathtub or wherever.
Yes.
Like super glue does that, drives me nuts.
And these skewers are good for that too because you can just jam them in there. So the reason I'm doing this now is because once this is dry, I can, and I do my glaze, my next glaze, I can glaze right over this and it'll color it. But it just adds another texture. It's really fun. Oh, wait a minute, here's one. Whoa! Here's the thing that you might not know about me. When I find a new thing, I use it a lot and then I stop. But this is all caulk around that coffee cup and the frame, and around this little coffee cup too. And here's a line of it around this bowl. And it colors really nice, and it just adds another element of texture. And in a mixed media painting, that's kind of one of the things you're looking for is the build-up, is all the different things that you can add on. You want people to look at it and go, how'd they do that? What'd they do there? You know, that's part of the fun of it. But this leaves a really scratchy scratch. I mean, it scrapes up the paint more than just runs a line through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Different text. What tool was that you used?
I'm not sure. It was some little sharp tool that I have in my arsenal. Anything will work. You could use, the little bamboo skewers work really great because you can use one end that leaves a big, into wet paint, but you can use this little pointy end and scratch in. Now, when you're doing this rough scratching, it is always better if you have if you're working on a board, you have to be really careful when you're doing it on canvas. Because you can really easily go right through that canvas. And these scratches may end up getting covered over. Another thing that I did on this one, now that I'm looking at it, this was in a step or two back. Let me find what step it was. There was one, I think it's step 4, where I said pick a color that was from your background and add that. There were 2 different colors and you picked and add. These papers that I had in these yellow flowers, it was a jelly print paper on deli paper, jelly print on deli paper. So I really liked that, and it was very pretty. So my next color I added in was the same. In order to keep things from getting too busy, I have that yellow paper below, and I mixed up a paint that is a couple shades lighter, and I just did some strokes of it on those papers. And I did it, it's heavier paint, whereas the paper is nice and smooth. So when we talk about differences, it's little differences like that that really help your painting. I can now, if I wanted to, where'd that little scratching thing go? I mean, I could go in and now scratch into these, which is kind of fun. And when the painting's all done, if I decide I don't like that, I can paint over it. What the heck? I can take the same color and maybe mix a lighter version and go over it with that. the whole point is you're still adding things into your painting, but because you're keeping your colors so close, it's not like adding a whole new thing. You're just building up. So this one, I did that. I added those. Okay, now where are we going? We're going to number,
We're on 8.
I'm also, this is something Nicholas Wilton always says, and I find it to be really true, is adding black and white to your painting, just even a little tiny bit. So I have a bunch of little sayings. Why is that light so bright? Let me turn that down. Is that better? No. I have a bunch, I always keep scraps of written words that I might, let me see. Here's one that says drifts through dreams, which might kind of be something cool with the hummingbird. Hummingbirds show up in your dreams. It's all about joy. So I may just want to add this in somewhere. I don't really have a lot other things that I want to add in because I already added my hummingbirds in, and I don't really think I need anything else.
Are you going to keep your white clock white on that one?
My white clock.
Clock.
Oh,
Clock.
oh. Let me see. What happened to my? Thanks, Joanne.
All right, it just looks awfully white.
It could have stayed white because I'm going to add white in here, and this little guy's going to stay white, and I may add white somewhere else. Not sure yet. Where do I want this to be? Another thing with papers, when you add papers in, it's always good to do it in a way that you can add your paper and come back and paint it into your painting so it doesn't just look like it's stuck on there. So now when I come back with my next color, I can paint that into it and kind of embed that into my painting. So there's my big addition of paper, guys. Add more marks. I have a lot of marks going on here. And what I did, another thing I want to say, and as I'm looking at this, I remember things that I did. When you come to that part where you're adding in the extra colors to brighten it up, and these colors, the yellow that I added in, brightened it up. I also went in with a oil pastel, and I drew around a lot and scratched in a little bit more in some areas. I've already gone over that and sealed it. So don't rule out using other mediums when you're adding in. It doesn't have to be just paper and paint. So I have Stabilo that I've outlined things, and I have my oil pastel that I've gone in and outlined. So I love working with these. You just, once again, got to make sure to put a sealer on them. So now what I'm going to do with this one, I've already kind of done that. So now I am on number 9. It says to add a transparent glaze. What am I missing, Joanne?
No, that's okay. Seal marks in the entire surface. So you
Yeah.
added a paper, but you didn't seal it. So
I added a paper, and I'm not
and you
sealing.
sealed it.
I'm not sealing this whole thing just for the sake of, you know, I want to be able to look at you guys' work too. So now I'm going to add a glaze. Now, when you add a glaze, I'm actually going to switch this a little bit. I'm going to first add some thick paint before I add the glaze, because the glaze I want to go in, and so make a note of that. Where are all my little...
So
you want us to reverse those 2 steps?
Yeah, yes, I am, so you can see the difference. I don't really feel like I need a glaze on this because I like where it's at, but what I might do is come back afterwards and add, because I'm going with a parchment right now. I'm thinking this out for a minute. Because I'm looking at, do I want to go, so it's decision-making time. Do I want to go with my lighter color right now? I don't know that I do. I don't think I want to jump from this medium gray to the parchment. And I have a lighter gray here. I think this is lighter. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a lighter gray and then go to my, the cream. And what I also wanna do is I wanna keep my little areas segmented out because I like that. I like, on this painting, I have lines drawn and I like to have that in there. So I don't wanna completely lose that. So maybe on the bottom, I'll leave it the light gray and I might come up to one of my lines and add in the cream at that point. But right now,
Denise, I can't see you.
what can't you see?
Oh, you stopped talking and I couldn't see what you were doing.
Oh, well, if you put me on a speaker and out of gallery, if I'm not large on the screen, put me on speaker. Otherwise, you'll only see whoever's talking will be who's big. But if you have me on speaker, it just stays there.
Speaker, where's that?
Or you can go to my picture in the gallery and double click on it.
The picture of your hands, you mean?
No. A picture of me at my easel because I'm not on my tabletop today.
And just pin it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that work?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this so it's not glary, but I guess I can't. Now I'm going over the paper I just added in there, and I'm kind of just embedding it in, and I might even go over some of it. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit, and then I'll go back and pull the actual saying drifts through dreams. I'll pull that through so you can read part of it. Sometimes it's good not to read the whole thing. You kind of need to leave things up to the imagination.
Is that house paint that you're still using?
I'm using house paint right now because I really like this color gray. I'm going to leave that. Now, I'm just going to say there's no chance that I'm going to finish this painting because I can see that I'm making decisions because I have a time that I want to be able to work with. And that's when I ruin paintings, when I race through them. I'm not doing anything with the bottom because I love the way the bottom is. But you can see how this painting now is taking shape. Is anybody missing that, or can you see it?
Yeah, yeah. I can see it.
But now you're going to put another glaze over it at the end?
You know what I do is I do like to go in with a glaze and kind of work it around. Like I might put maybe darken the background right in here, but I'm not, this isn't going to be my final solid color. I'm going to do a cream over this. But right now, it's kind of where I want to be. Because I've covered up enough to still see, oh, there's so much cool texture going on. And that's another problem. I can easily get caught up in the texture and stop there, and that doesn't always read really well. Like I do need to, right in here, define this flower a little better.
So your background eventually will be cream, or you'll go over the cream?
My background, I'm going to build up, even when, for me, even when I do a painting that's pretty creamy, like this one back here, I don't know, you can't really see this painting. This has probably got 4 or 5 layers of cream on it. Because even when you put colors that are very close to the same color and just build it up, it creates a depth, it creates something you can, you know, it's layering. If I were to put on just a cream, it's just cream, just a layer, it's just, to me it never looks finished. It's like painting a wall in your house and only putting 1 coat of paint on. Even when it says it's a 1 coat paint, it's a completely different feel when you put 2 coats on. So it's the same way of looking at it. I think I covered up a petal here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty sure I did. So I'm gonna have to pull that. And that's another cool thing about these tools is you can, the color shapers, is you can then go back and pull things out pretty good. There's a leaf there, a petal that I didn't want to lose that I really needed. And then I can take a little bit of my hand sanitizer, which has alcohol in it, so it will remove the paint.
Why not just use alcohol?
Well, because I don't like breathing in the alcohol, and when you use the alcohol, it's really strong. And this is a gel, so it's easier to control. So I can take off the paint. And that'll be good enough. Come back in and reshape that leaf. I can even come in with my oil pastel. There, I'm gonna like that better. So I don't actually have to have a flower there. I have the feeling of a flower when I get done with this. You'll be able to see, I mean, that will make sense in there. I can see when I'm looking at this, a lot of that texture is gonna have to go, but it might be able to go on the next coat. So you can see how much more defined this is. Okay, so after class, I went ahead and as this painting made its way along, I started adding colors into it. I added a couple little hummingbirds and a few more details I wanted to point out to you. As you can see, there's lots and lots of layers here. I kept layering different colors of paint. The turquoise there is an oil pastel. The yellow on the flowers are water-soluble oil pastels that I can then kind of blend into a softer, more transparent color. I added more papers in, a lot more Stabilo marks, and some scratching back into the painting, which I really love the effects of that. And following down onto the two pots, I added several different layers of different colors of turquoise and the rust. And there's my number 5 coffee cup with lots of scratch marks on it, and Stabilo, and my little hummingbirds, of course, finish it off. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So I'm hoping this was helpful, and lots of layers here. I think there are about 22 different passes on this painting. So if you like it, please do give me a thumbs up. First of all, give it a try. Second of all, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my videos, and if you hit the little bell, you'll be alerted every time I add a new one. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.